Since the normalization of ties between the United Arab Emirates and the Israeli regime, the two sides grab every single occasion to cement their friendship. Inviting the Emiratis to visit al-Quds Mosque in Jerusalem al-Quds and tour the occupied territories, whereas the Palestinians themselves are faced with restrictions of movement, or hosting the first Holocaust Remembrance Day in the Arab world in the UAE, while political activists are perishing behind bars in the country, are all telltale signs of close cooperation between the two sides, with the main focus on the land of Palestine.
الحادث اللي حدث مؤلم جدا لجميع السعوديين.
Palestinian website al-Quds has recently revealed that the United Arab Emirates has taken part in selling properties in East Jerusalem al-Quds. Quoting informed Palestinian sources, al-Quds wrote, "The UAE is involved in selling 3 properties to settlers in the Batn al-Hawa neighborhood in the Silwan area in East Jerusalem."
Well, first of all, we have to know that there were rumors for a while, even before the normalization between Israel and UAE, regarding the buying of property, especially in East Jerusalem, by the Emirates through many Palestinian agents. These rumors were very strong in Jerusalem and in all Palestinian territories in general. And we don't have proof of anything yet, but I don't believe that there isn't, fire without smoke. So it's probably that could be, the case in Jerusalem.
Recently, groups of settlers managed to seize these buildings and a plot of land under the protection of the Israeli occupation police, after the site was handed to settler associations by the Emiratis. Calling the Emirati dealers as real estate looters, families from the town of Silwan have decided to boycott them for what they consider as an act of betrayal.
Apparently, the occurrence of this story is going ahead in all over the West Bank, not only in that website. But if that happened, it means that they are even, going ahead with the Israeli in buying properties in East Jerusalem to change the demography, and that's what the Israeli wanted to do in the old city of Jerusalem. And now, apparently, according to this, the Emirates are helping them with such, to acquire these properties in there.
In the ongoing struggle to reclaim their homeland, the Palestinian people regard East Jerusalem al-Quds as the future capital of a Palestinian state, and therefore selling to settlers land and properties located in this area as an act of desecration. It is not the first time the Emirati middlemen acted as fronts in the purchase of a number of homes in the historically Palestinian neighborhood of Silwan. According to a dealer who has bought homes on behalf of Emirati agencies, when a person agrees to sell, they have exhausted all options. They can no longer manage the debts they owe. When an Emirati organization offers to purchase the property, they see it as a chance to get out of the mess they're in.
We heard just recently some of the Emirates and even people from Saudi Arabia congratulate Israel for the independence date, forgetting that this date is the Nakba date for the Palestinians. It's the time when the Palestinians were kicked out of their homes, and we are talking about 900,000 Palestinians were kicked out from that home for Israel to declare its independence, as they put it between brackets. So to congratulate them as if you are, now also congratulate the Palestinians for the Nakba. So I think that the normalization by the Emirates is absolutely harming the Palestinians, and this is not going to help the Palestinians in any way. To the contrary, they are confirming the occupation over the Palestinian areas.
At the same time, the UAE's all-weather ally, namely Saudi Arabia, is undermining the Palestinian cause on another front. In one of his recent interviews, Saudi Arabia's Foreign Minister, Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, has pointed out that the normalization of Israel's status within the region would bring tremendous benefits to the region as a whole. In fact, while Saudi officials lecture on the benefits of normalizing ties with the Israeli regime, there are concerning reports about Palestinian detainees in the Saudi kingdom. The Palestinian Hamas group has recently called on Riyadh to release all Palestinian prisoners kept in the country. The group says there are at least 60 Palestinians in Saudi prisons. Hamas says the detainees used to work for the Palestinian cause in compliance with Saudi laws.
The problem is that these Palestinians in Saudi Arabia who have been arrested done nothing against the Saudis or any Saudi society or Saudi state at all. The only thing that they believe or they belong or they viewed Hamas as a Palestinian organization. It has nothing to do with the position of Saudi Arabia to declare Hamas as a terrorist organization. But these people did nothing to you. That showed you that these people were arrested only because of their mind and the freedom of speech or for their opinion, rather than doing anything against Saudi Arabia. And we definitely ask and demand Saudi to release all these Palestinians.
One of the detainees is former Hamas representative to the kingdom, Dr. Muhammad al-Khudari, detained on the 4th of April 2019, along with his son as part of a large-scale campaign targeting Palestinians. According to Amnesty International, Dr. Muhammad al-Khudari and his son Dr. Hani al-Khudari were arbitrarily arrested and remain in detention without charge. They were held incommunicado and in solitary confinement for the first 3 months of their detention. Dr. Muhammad al-Khudari requires adequate medical attention and treatment for cancer.
In the last year or 2 years, the Saudis had taken a new position of the Palestinian question, and especially with Hamas, by putting Hamas on their also terrorist list, considering Hamas and its members as terrorists. And I think they are all totally, following the American and the Israeli path in this regard. Because of that, some people from Hamas, or being known as Hamas, were in Saudi Arabia and they were arrested. Hamas was trying all the time through many channels and directly try to talk to the Saudi government to release those people, including this old man that we talked about, and he's very ill and sick in prison. We had to go also to the international organizations regarding the human rights in order to release these Palestinians.
Relief Web says these detainees were placed in various prisons, including Al-Hayr, Dhahban, Sha'ar, Daman, and Asir, and were not granted their legal defense rights. The leading humanitarian information source adds, the detainees, who are students, academics, businessmen, and workers in relief institutions, have been isolated from the outside world for several months. Their bank accounts have been frozen and their money confiscated.
By the end of the day, even if Saudi Arabia did not officially normalize the relationship with Israel, but they are approving it in a way or another, and they are having some kind of relationship with the Israeli leaders, and there are talks also between them. So we know that, but maybe because of their position leading, as they say, the Islamic world, they can't go ahead and do it officially and openly, but they are doing it from under the table.
At a time when the Palestinian people need more help from their Arab brothers in the face of the encroaching enemy, to their dismay, they have realized that their brothers are behind almost all acts of betrayal against their sacred cause.